I didn't mean to linger in the kitchen. But there I was, leaning against the counter with an empty glass in my hand, pretending to need water when the truth was simpler. I couldn't pull myself away from her. She was standing by the sink, sleeves of her white blouse rolled halfway up her arms, a soft strand of hair slipping loose near her cheek as she rinsed a wineglass. The light over the stove was the only thing on, and it cast a warm, amber glow that made the room feel smaller, too small for both of us, though either of us moved. Her name was Ji-yeon, my mom's closest friend. Mid-40s, confident in that way people get when they've stopped trying to impress anyone, yet there was something about the way she avoided looking directly at me that betrayed a quiet vulnerability. She had this calmness, but also a silence that pulled me in, as if every word she didn't say mattered more than the ones she did. I cleared my throat, though I had nothing to say. "You're quiet tonight," she murmured without turning, her voice low enough that I almost thought she was talking to herself. "I guess I'm just noticing things," I said. Finally, she looked up. Our eyes caught, and for a second either of us pretended it was casual. Her gaze lingered a little too long, and I felt the back of my neck grow warm. She broke it with a small smile, but it wasn't the polite kind she gave at the dinner table earlier. It was smaller, edged with something private. I set the glass down on the counter. My hand brushed the side of hers when I did, just lightly, barely anything. But her hand froze in the water for a second longer than it needed to, and when she pulled it out, a single droplet trailed down her wrist. She dried it with the corner of a towel, slow, as if aware I was watching. "I shouldn't keep you in here," she said softly. "Your mom will think I'm holding you hostage." The way she said holding you lingered in the air, heavier than the words themselves. "I don't mind," I answered too quickly. The silence stretched. She leaned back against the sink, arms crossed now, and I realized I'd never seen her this close before, close enough to notice the faint scent of her perfume, warm and floral, blending with the faint citrus of the dish soap. She tilted her head, studying me, and I couldn't tell if she was amused or testing how long I could stand under her gaze. "You look just like you did when you were little," she said at last, then shook her head, correcting herself. "No, not like that. You've changed." I swallowed, my mouth dry. "So have you?" Something shifted in her face then, something unspoken but undeniable. Her lips parted as though she was about to say something else, but she didn't. Instead, she stepped closer, close enough that I felt the warmth of her body, though she still hadn't touched me. My heart was pounding so loudly I was sure she could hear it. "Ji-yeon," I started, but her hand lifted, brushing lightly against my wrist. It wasn't a grab, more like the testing of a boundary. She held it there, her fingertips barely pressing, before whispering, "You're not leaving until I've had you." The words struck me motionless, suspended between disbelief and everything I'd been silently wanting. And then, footsteps sounded down the hallway. The doorknob turned, the door swung open, and my mother's voice floated in, light, oblivious. "You two hiding in here?" Ji-yeon stepped back so fast you might have thought she'd been burned. Her hand dropped to her side, and she laughed too brightly. "Just finishing the dishes." He was keeping me company. I forced a nod, though my chest was still pounding from what she'd whispered seconds earlier. My mother glanced between us, then shrugged, grabbing a bottle of water before heading back to the living room. The door closed. Silence again. Only this time it wasn't comfortable. It was charged, brittle. Ji-yeon didn't look at me. She picked up another glass, turning it over in her towel as if it suddenly required her full attention. I wanted to say something, ask if I'd misheard her, but the words wouldn't form. Instead, I studied her profile, the way her jaw tensed, the tiny crease at her brow. She was beautiful, yes, but it wasn't just that. It was the contradiction in her, confident enough to tease, guarded enough to retreat the moment someone else appeared. She finally set the glass down and exhaled. "I was married once," she said suddenly, still not meeting my eyes. The confession came so quietly I almost thought I'd imagined it. "Didn't work out," she continued. "Too many years of pretending everything was fine. By the end, we barely spoke." She gave a small shrug, though her voice betrayed her. Lonely is easier to hide when you're busy. Her honesty disarmed me. I leaned against the counter, careful not to move too close. I haven't really had anything serious, I admitted. College, a few girlfriends, nothing that lasted. They all said I was distant. Are you? She asked, finally glancing at me. Maybe. Or maybe I just hadn't met someone worth not being distant for. The words slipped out before I could stop them. Her lips curved, faint but real, then quickly disappeared as she shook her head. You're too young to talk like that. There it was, the line she was drawing, thin but sharp. I could feel her trying to reinforce it, but her body betrayed her. She shifted closer, close enough that her shoulder brushed mine. It was the smallest touch, yet it sent a shiver down my spine. I don't feel young, I whispered. Her eyes flicked to mine. For a suspended moment, either of us looked away. She breathed out slowly, and the warmth of it touched my cheek. This is... she began, then stopped. Her hand lifted as if to rest on my arm, but she caught herself, fingers curling back into her palm. I should have stepped away. I didn't. The air between us thickened, heavy with all the things we weren't saying. She bit her lip, gaze dropping to the counter, then back to me. My chest tightened. Finally, she reached out, not bold, not dramatic, just the quiet weight of her hand resting on my shoulder. Her fingers lingered there, warm, steady, trembling slightly. And she didn't move it. Her hand was still on my shoulder when the sound of footsteps echoed again down the hall. We both stiffened, frozen in place. Ji-yeon? You in there? My mother's voice, nearer this time. She pulled away as if the counter itself had shocked her. The absence of her touch burned hotter than the contact had. I stepped back too, fumbling for something, anything, to look natural. Ji-yeon snatched up the towel, folding it with unnecessary precision. Here, she called, voice steady but a shade too loud. Just about done. The footsteps receded. Silence again. But now our breaths were uneven, shallow. You see? She said softly, setting the towel down. We can't. Yet even as she said it, she didn't move farther. Her body remained inches from mine, her shoulder brushing the air where I stood. I know, I whispered. But knowing didn't mean leaving. Her eyes flicked to mine, quick, desperate, then away again. The space between us felt like a held breath. Every second stretched. She reached for a mug on the shelf, leaning across me. Her arm grazed my chest. My pulse stumbled. She didn't apologize, didn't pull back quickly. The faint brush lingered, deliberate in its slowness. You should go, she said, her tone betraying the command. It was soft, cracked at the edges. I stayed. Do you really want me to? That question hung heavier than any touch. Her lips parted, but no answer came. Then, a sharp buzz from her phone on the counter. She snatched it up, thumb brushing the screen. A message lit her face for a second before she quickly set it down again, jaw tight. Someone important? I asked. She shook her head, a quick dismissal. But I caught the flicker in her eyes, the way she swallowed before saying, No. Just someone who doesn't matter anymore. I wanted to ask more, but she stepped closer before I could. Too close this time. My back nearly pressed against the counter edge. Her perfume, floral with something deeper, filled the small space between us. Her hand lifted as though she might touch my chest. She stopped, fingers hovering in midair, trembling slightly. This is wrong, she breathed. I don't care, I said. My own voice surprised me. She closed her eyes briefly, as if steadying herself, then opened them again. Her gaze locked with mine. The weight of it pulled me in until our faces were close enough that I could feel her breath on my lips. The world outside the kitchen ceased to exist. No footsteps, no voices, just her and the inches we hadn't yet crossed. Her hand finally touched me, just over my heart. Warm, hesitant, but undeniable. And she didn't let go. Her palm rested over my heart, fingers curled slightly as if she could feel every uneven beat. Neither of us moved. I could hear the faint hum of the refrigerator, the tick of the wall clock. Every ordinary sound felt deafening against the silence between us. She was the first to break. Her hand slipped back, and she exhaled shakily. "This isn't fair," she whispered. "To who?" I asked, my voice rougher than I meant. "To you. To your mother. To myself." Her eyes shimmered, though no tears fell. "You're, what, 23? I'm old enough to know better." "Knowing better doesn't mean wanting less," I said. That line hit something in her. She flinched, almost as if struck, then laughed once, hollow. "God, listen to you. You shouldn't even be saying things like that." But when I stepped forward, she didn't move. I reached up, hesitant, giving her space to pull away, and brushed a stray strand of hair from her face. My fingers barely grazed her temple, yet the contact felt like fire. She froze, lips parting just slightly, not resisting, not retreating. "You make me feel." She started, then cut herself off. "Say it," I murmured. Her breath hitched. For a heartbeat, she leaned into my touch, her cheek warming beneath my fingers. "Alive," she said finally, voice trembling. "And I hate that." Her honesty nearly undid me. I stepped closer, close enough that her blouse brushed against my shirt. The scent of her perfume clung in the air, dizzying. "You think I don't see you watching me?" she whispered, eyes flicking to my mouth. "At the table. When no one's looking. I feel it. And I let you." My pulse thudded so hard I swore she could hear it beneath her hand. "Why?" I asked. Her lips curved into the faintest, most dangerous smile. "Because I can't stop." The words cracked something open. I bent closer, just enough that my breast stirred against her ear. "Then don't." Her body swayed, leaning against me now, the top of her head brushing my chin. Her hand clutched lightly at my shirt, knuckles tight. Every barrier she tried to build was collapsing, and still she fought it. "This is insane," she whispered, though her mouth hovered a breath from mine. "Then let's be insane together," I said. Her eyes locked with mine, wild, torn, desperate. She rose onto the faintest edge of her toes, closing the last sliver of distance. My hand slid to her waist, grounding her, holding her there. Her lips parted. Mine did too. And just as the kiss was about to happen, the front door slammed. Laughter spilled into the house, voices overlapping, too close, too real. She stiffened instantly, pushing against my chest just enough to put space between us. Her breathing ragged, her eyes wide. "We can't," she whispered, though her voice shook with everything left unsaid. The laughter from the front hallway grew louder. Ji-yeon backed away from me, pressing a hand against her throat as if to quiet her own breathing. I stepped aside, trying to look casual, though every nerve in me was still burning from how close we had been. My mother's voice again, cheerful, unsuspecting. "We're back. Ji-yeon, you should have come with us. You missed the best tiramisu in the city." I risked a glance at her. She smiled too quickly, straightened her blouse, and tucked her hair behind her ear with trembling fingers. "I'll survive," she called back, her voice steadier than her body. But then something else broke the air, another voice, sharp, teasing. "My cousin." "Mom, I swear, Ji-yeon and him are always in the kitchen together. Should we be worried?" The words hit like a slap. My mother laughed it off immediately. "Don't be silly." But the damage was done. Ji-yeon's face strained of color. She turned to me, wide-eyed, as though those careless words had exposed every thought we'd tried to bury. She whispered under her breath. "They notice. They don't mean anything by it," I said quickly. But she was already moving past me, her shoulder brushing mine in a way that was both accidental and intentional. Too close, too fast. My hand almost caught her wrist, but I stopped myself. We stood side by side at the counter, pretending to clean, pretending not to tremble. The voices in the other room faded into background noise, but the silence between us was unbearable. Finally she spoke, so low I had to lean in. "I wasn't lying earlier. I can't stop thinking about you." Her hand tightened around the dish towel, knuckles white. But now, they see it too. And if they see it, they don't know. I cut in. And I don't care if they do. Her gaze snapped to mine, sharp, almost angry. You should care. You have your whole life ahead of you. Me? I'm just your mom's friend who should have known better. I stepped closer, lowering my voice. You're not just anything. She shivered, though not from cold. Her body leaned back slightly against the counter, and I instinctively filled the space between us. My hand hovered near hers, close enough that the heat of our skin bled together. For a moment neither of us moved. The house was too quiet again. The air too heavy. Then she whispered the part that changed everything. It's not just you I'm afraid of hurting. It's your mother. She once told me. She stopped herself, biting her lip. What? I pressed. She told me she always trusted me with you. Said I was the one who'd keep you out of trouble. Her laugh was bitter, almost breaking. If only she knew. The weight of it sank in. This wasn't only about us anymore. It was about betrayal, loyalty, and something that could never be undone. I stepped even closer, my voice low, urgent. Then maybe keeping me out of trouble isn't what I need from you. Her breath caught. Our faces hovered inches apart, trembling with hesitation, with fear, with inevitability. And this time, she didn't move away. Her confession hung in the air, heavier than any silence. Trusted. That word dug into me like a blade. I saw the guilt flickering across her face, the way she clenched the towel as though holding herself back with both hands. But I couldn't step away. Not now. I moved closer until the counter trapped her behind me. Her breath faltered, chest rising against mine with every inhale. Her eyes lifted to meet mine, wide, conflicted, but she didn't tell me to stop. Ji-yeon, I said quietly, the name tasting dangerous on my tongue. Her lips parted, but no sound came. She only shook her head faintly, as if resisting words that her body betrayed. My hand lifted before I could think. I brushed a strand of hair from her face, fingers lingering against her temple. Her skin warmed beneath my touch, and she leaned into it for the smallest second before forcing herself to straighten. You don't know what you're asking, she whispered. I know exactly, I said. Her laugh was broken, breathless. You think this is simple. It's not. If anyone found out, then no one finds out. I cut in. My voice was low, certain. This stays here. Between us. Her gaze darted to my mouth, then away. She trembled, torn between retreat and surrender. My other hand found the edge of the counter near her hip, bracing myself. The space between us had collapsed into a breath, maybe less. This is wrong, she said again, weaker this time. Then why can't you let me go? I asked. The words cracked something in her. She inhaled sharply, eyes flashing with the truth she couldn't keep hidden anymore. Her hand lifted, hesitant, then rested flat against my chest. The heat of it burned through my shirt, steady and trembling all at once. I've tried, she whispered. God knows I've tried. And then there was no more space left to argue. My forehead lowered to hers, breath mingling, the quietest moment of surrender in the loudest silence I'd ever known. Our lips hovered, waiting, daring. Finally, she closed the gap. It wasn't a polished kiss, it was messy, urgent, trembling. Her hand slid up my chest to clutch my collar, pulling me closer, while mine settled at her waist, anchoring her to me. It was the collision of everything we'd been holding back: fear, longing, regret, need. When she broke away, it wasn't far. Her forehead rested against mine, her breath ragged. This changes everything, she said. Good, I whispered. Let it. Her eyes softened then, the conflict still there but no longer winning. She cupped my jaw with her hand, thumb brushing across my cheek. For the first time, there was no retreat in her touch. We understood each other then, not with explanations, not with words, but with the clarity of two people who had crossed the line and couldn't go back. The kiss still lingered on my lips when silence reclaimed the kitchen. Not awkward, just heavy, full of everything we couldn't say out loud. Ji-Yun's hand stayed on my cheek, soft and steady, even as her gaze lowered. I shouldn't have, she whispered. You wanted to, I said gently. Her lips twitched into a small, pained smile. That doesn't make it any less reckless. No, I agreed, sliding my hand down to hers, threading my fingers through hers. But it makes it real. She let me hold it. For a moment neither of us moved. The house was alive again with faint voices from the living room, laughter, the clink of glasses. Yet here in the kitchen, we stood still, an island apart. I'm not who you think I am, she said softly, thumb brushing against my knuckle. I'm older, flawed, tired in ways you can't see. I shook my head. You're exactly who I think you are. That's why My voice faltered, but the truth was already in the air. Why I can't look at anyone else. Her eyes lifted to mine, glassy with unshed emotion. She exhaled, the fight in her finally softening. Instead of more words, she leaned forward, pressing her forehead to mine. The contact was gentle, grounding, intimate in a way more powerful than the kiss had been. Her breath brushed against my lips as she murmured, "You'll regret this one day." I smiled faintly. "Then I'll let it be the one regret I keep." That made her laugh, quiet, broken but real. She rested her head against my chest then, her arms wrapping around me with a slowness that felt almost fragile. I held her, arms firm around her back, pulling her closer than I ever had before. She fit against me like she belonged there, her heartbeat steadying against mine. The doubts were still there. The age gap, the risk, the guilt. But they no longer outweighed the pull between us. We weren't pretending anymore. After a long moment, she pulled back just enough to look at me. Her hand rose, brushing my hair from my forehead, her touch lingering. Then, softly, she pressed her lips against my temple, a kiss not of urgency, but of choice. It said everything. When we finally stepped apart, the world outside our little corner hadn't changed, but we had. Whatever came next, we'd face it together. She squeezed my hand once more, her thumb tracing lightly over mine, before whispering, "Stay close tonight." And I knew I would. Sparkles, did you enjoy the story? What kind of stories would you like to hear next?